be averse to playing, but they may just be worried about taking it into the Batiste. While yes, Baron can jump out of an Ordained once he has the jump shits overdriven, it is still a lot of damage, and if they can find a way to protect Batiste in any manner, then it can be trouble. But I mean, I feel like Baron actually does quite well.
Yeah, Baron would be
Batiste,
great here,
so
but they might go for a Ringo or Adagio Grumpjaw here, potentially. Or Glaive, actually. Glaive is actually better into Kestrel because of his ability to Afterburn and Displace her. Or even Cruel, just to get on her, block the stun, and then just kill her and stun her. So Cruel and I think Glaive would be better options. So Cruel will be picked up here. A great pick because he can fight and stand his ground against a Batiste here.
The sustainability this Cruel is going to have is going to be disgusting. With the double heal plus his own lifesteal anyway. This is... I don't know how you shut that kind of thing down.
Double heal, built-in lifesteal in the kit, and the burst heal of this Spectral Smite for Kroll. Like, it's going to be so difficult to take him down. Even if you take the Sky, yes, Sky performs well into the Kroll, but it's still going to be extremely difficult for her to actually find that kill because Kroll can just pick one of the other targets. Once the Sky jumps away from him, like, he can get onto the Batiste if he blocks the Ordained, and then has Gabe Vizzle block the Fearsome Shade for him and just start healing off of the Batiste as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, Sky is so good late game against this composition. She actually counters all 3 heroes. So if Sky gets to late game, gets 3 items, then Hammers can take the win. And they're good at turtling. So Cloud9 needs to secure the early game and snowball this game before Sky gets online.
Yeah, and that's a conversation we've had quite a lot of times as well, where teams have to make things happen in the early game. However, Cloud9 is definitely a team that can make that happen. This is a team that historically has been very aggressive in the early game and makes things happen. So we'll see if they can bring that to pass in this series. But also, the Kestrel and Batiste, not exactly bad at kiting either. So this composition from Hammers, good at like falling back from the Cloud9 aggression.
Yeah, the question mark for me will be Archeg on the Sky because that's not a pick we have seen him play, and it is a pick that is very high skill cap. You have to have your angles proper, and you have to choose your timing on the Suri strikes perfectly well. Otherwise, you will just get caught out in a bad position. Like we've seen so many times where top-tier players Suri strike just kind of questionably into the enemy team.
Yeah, all right. Well, it's time to get on into our grand final. Let us know who you're voting for using that hashtag Vainglory8. But the players are onto the map, so we're going to head on there as well. Our grand final begins. It's the rebirth of the Hollywood Hammers going up against the ever-present Cloud9.
Hey guys, welcome back. And Cloud9, here we go. They're in the finals once again. They're up against Hammers, though. Normally a bit of a different competition, normally. You could imagine normally it's C9 versus TSM, but hey-ho. Hammers is coming out with a vengeance. They want to take this game and prove to everybody they are the best in NA, or at least can compete with the best. I'm just scared right now, Scoundrel. I'm telling you why. Gabe Vizzle, he's got the grace again.
Yeah, and Old School's got his Adagio. If there is one player in North America that can make lane Adagio work, it is Old School. And actually, he's one of the only players that I have seen make it work in recent times. So I'm going to be interested to see how he combos. I think the Adagio Cruel combo is incredibly strong, especially CP Adagio, because you could empower those Cruel basic attacks even more against those Gift of Fire afflicted targets. So this is something that can snowball very heavily out of control here for C9. If they get Joseph rolling, if Old School can keep applying those stacks. I mean, if you can get a rush down onto the Sky and then apply Gift of Fire to the Cruel, not only will Sky be super immobile following that, even if she Suri strikes, you will also get a huge amount of burst damage onto her. So C9 has the potential to kind of run away with this game if they have the right ingredients and the right setups. And there is only really that disengage from Playboy Afro in terms of his Fearsome Shade, and that's probably going to get echoed, but C9 might be able to get a major advantage before Echo is picked up.
What's interesting about their composition as well, if you look at the Crucible as one of those items, Scoundrel, what are you going to want a Crucible on the team? You said the Fearsome Shade, which is a key target, also Archaic's Death from Above. That's really about it. I mean, it's very hard to spot an active camo stun coming, in all honesty, but it's going to be easy pickings, you can imagine, for Gabe Vizzle popping that Crucible, and then Cloud9 could potentially run them all over. I mean, they've got Joseph on this Cruel as well, another big pick that's been rising in popularity recently.
Sorry if you just heard me kick my desk, that really hurt. No, I think even Death from Above is sometimes questionable in terms of crucibling, because the stun is actually quite short, It only just the real issue that comes from it is the slow combined with the frostburn. But I think the most important thing on Gabe Vizzle's mind is going to be that fearsome shade. So I think you ultimately reserve your crucible for fearsome shade almost every single time. But you're right. It's not like you're facing a multitude of abilities that you're going to have to crucible. It is just going to be realistically the fearsome shade, and if necessary, the death from above if the fearsome shade is no longer an issue. So it maybe makes it a little bit easier for Gabe Vizzle here as well, you know, also with double reflex blocks likely going to coming out from Old School and Joseph, although they aren't really a matter of urgency in this game, which is really interesting because often we see teams have to go for them as a matter of urgency against certain heroes like Koshka. It definitely will be a matter of urgency you feel for the likes of Hammers, because they'll want to be able to stop that Cruel ultimate at level 6, especially being a major issue. We have to wait to see. There's a bit of an engage going on here, but Hammers will just back off as Joseph takes a bit of an aggressive position.
Yeah, Ordained does come through. Playboy Afro he's going to be able to keep Cloud9 at bay. Okay, will secure the healing camp here. Gabe Vizzle is going to retreat towards the lane as well, but Hammer's playing very aggressively. Forward barrage actually onto Gabe Vizzle, chunks into about half HP. Old School has got the healing on his side. Really, he's not going to be in too much of a problem right now. And it's going to be all about Joseph here in that level 6 mark. He's level 5, only just dinged it, that is. So he will be trying to make early plays, or at least level 6 plays, very, very soon, you would have thought.
Yeah, absolutely. The level 6 plays are going to be influential. Starting all over again, going for a crystal bit, you know, that kind of wards out the idea that it was a mistake in the previous game. And that does give him the ability to play a bit further at range and still maintain the ability to burst out with that glimmer shot. It's just so interesting that he considers it so early on. He must really value that crystal damage splash against the likes of an Adagio, or even just trying to get the sieges onto turrets. Just it's not something that a lot of other Kestrel players do, but it does give him a slightly extended early game range on that glimmer shot, and the damage still can find those executing blows.
Joseph staying up in the lane there, a little longer than you might have expected, but he did ding level 6, so very, very early level 6. Archaic has hit that mark as well at the moment, just taking those forward camps, but still, we are 5 minutes into the game right now, and Cloud9 already playing off that aggression and that threat that Joseph does apply as soon as that From Hell's Heart has been skilled here. Cloud9, again, they're such a dominant team, not only in the lane, and you said Old School is one of the only players that can make this Adagio lane work extremely well, and he does it very, very, very good. Oh, that sentence was terrible. No, that sentence wasn't very good at all. But you see what I mean. Old School is such a proficient Adagio player that he is a double threat composition. Normally, you look at Adagio and go, oh, okay, so he is going to not only heal my team, but he's also going to do a fair bit of damage in the front line. Has to kind of stack up the damage realistically, and then we've got a hard-hitting tank. Not a tank, sorry, a hard-hitting carry in this jungle role as well. But the problem is, I'm looking at Cloud9's composition right now. They've got Grace for the massive engage potential as well, the Holy Novas, and the disengage as well is going to be huge if they do want to lay down the Versa Judgment. Old School is going to have a little bit of an easier time, you can imagine.
Gotta be honest, Jaws.
Yeah.
Barely followed what you said there.
Yeah, I got so confused halfway through. It's like 1 a.m. you gotta leave me alone.
It's not just you. It's 1 a.m. for me. So I kind of drifted off, and I was just watching the animation of. I was just watching the animation of the Cruel. I really like the walk animation on Joseph's Cruel. You know, the skins. I was just kind of mesmerized by him walking around the map.
Oh, he's got a little peg leg. It's hilarious.
But I'll maybe try and talk about what you said. I think obviously the issue that's going to be here for Hammers is that apart from the Ordained and the Fearsome Shade, if those two abilities aren't landed at the right time and don't get the influential disengage, C9 have got such good ways to stick to even a mobile target like this Sky. And you've got Benediction from Grace, you've got the slowdown from the heroic perk of Cruel, you've got the ability to dive onto them with his Dead Man's Rush, and also that Smite ability to slow them down too. Old School's Gift of Fire slows down. You know, you've got so many ways to limit the mobility of these carries. Oh,
Joseph going in for a small flank here, starting all over, has to retreat from Hell's Heart, has already been used here. Does he actually get blocked as well? Joseph taking a lot of damage from those turrets. Death from above does come down, separates the members of Cloud9, but Gabe Vizzle has hit that level 6 mark, so Divine Intervention will heal Joseph up for the meantime. A Hell's Heart being perfectly blocked by starting all over does mean a kill does not go through to either team.
Good disengage. Joseph maybe a little bit split in terms of decision on who to focus. He wanted to go for starting all over, but Playboy Afro was further out of position, so he could have maybe turned onto Playboy Afro a little bit sooner, and they might have got that executing smite damage, but there wasn't given enough time for Joseph to stack up those weakness stacks. One of the things that Cruel is incredibly reliant on is the attack speed. That's why a lot of Cruels sometimes go Blazing Salvo quite early on, because the attack speed is so crucial to build those necessary weakness stacks. But the Tension Bow is an item spike in itself. Double Reflex Block comes out for Old School and I Love Joseph, so they have the ability to get themselves out of Ordained specifically, but also if the Death from Above becomes an issue, they can also get around that.
And speaking of Reflex Block, starting all over and Playboy Afro have one too. We've seen a lot of teams fall for this kind of trap when coming up against the Cruel. Not prioritising that early can lead to their demise. Although Joseph from Hell's Heart available again. Joseph and Archaic and Playboy Afro off to the side. Here comes the Hell's Heart. It's going to get blocked. Archaic takes that one, no worries. But look at Old School on the sidelines. Almost chunks out starting all over there. And then Playboy Afro is in the front line. Holy Nova will end up only landing onto one members of Hammers. Joseph's determined to go back in there. And he two rightfully so. He finds first blood with that smite. Starting all over, no energy. And Playboy Afro is just going to get soloed out here by Old School. And that will lead Cloud9 as well to get that gold miner.
And that is a perfect example of that Adagio Cruel combo. I mean, Adagio can make Cruel stick to his target even harder and empower those basic attacks, meaning that he hits even harder in the early game. So influential, as you can see, they were able to burst Archaic out. The Boomerang did force the Reflex Block out of Archaic also, and they're going to get their first turret of the game as well. Another thing about Cruel is he's very good at taking neutral objectives.
Extremely good with that smite ability. That turret does end up falling. First one for Cloud9 on the field. Joseph in a lot of trouble, although does have his reflex block, like exactly what you were talking about. Early prioritization on those. Archaic, is he going to burn? Oh, that was very close. Thought Old School was just going to burn him out there, but it wasn't quite the case. Ordained does come out to Old School, but Joseph is off to the sidelines. Does not have that ultimate actually used from Hell's Heart. It's going to be a big stun from Gabe Bizzle. Fountain's going to get popped as well. Arcade just repositioning himself perfectly there. Just going to run down Joseph. My goodness, that was good. But double kill for Old School with the gift of fire. Just melts two people for the price of one. Starting 11 falling as well.
Man, Old School's Adagio. The only person I've ever seen make this work effectively, a post-Adagio range nerfs especially. He still manages to flex this Adagio into lane and work it for C9. And they are getting a small advantage in the start of this grand finals of this weekend at the VG8. Joseph now hits the Poison Shiv, a very crucial item because lifesteal, again, very important to Cruel. The more weakness stacks you build on a target, the more lifesteal you get against that target. And if you add a Poison Shiv into the mechanics, I don't know exactly what the mechanics are beyond 100% lifesteal. I don't know whether it's that you heal more than the damage you're dealing. I haven't ever looked into those mechanics specifically, but if you get 8 weakness stacks as a Cruel, you get 100% lifesteal against that target. So you add the Poison Shiv to that, you're either going to get to 100% quicker, or you do get that extended lifesteal, which I've never really actually looked into specifically. But regardless, Poison Shiv a great item for Cruel in general because the sustain is so important to him.
You could see it work in those fights previously. He absolutely was out of that fight until he goes, oh wait, sustain, runs back in. Oh, thanks for the heal, Old School, and I'm just going to heal myself back up to full. Disgusting, absolutely ridiculous sometimes, especially when it's twinned with Gabe Bizzles as well. There will be Crystal Sentry going down, only the first one of the game for Hammers, so not something to worry about just yet, but that does, again, get the ball rolling for Cloud9. And let's quickly jump over to Hammers' side. Let's have a look at their composition real quick, Scoundrel. Archaic, and what's said on the desk is, Guy's one of those heroes that is so hard to pilot that it can be extremely tough to perform in a competitive standpoint because you're coming up against a team that is not only seasoned, but you're coming up against Old School and Joseph, who are just so incredible at chasing you down at this point. Archaic's done a good job thus far of kiting around, but these 4 barrages, they will have to be on point.
Yeah, I mean, Skye is one of those heroes that. One second, I'm going to sneeze. Okay, no
worries. Okay.
She's one of those heroes that she has bad matchups, but if you pilot a Skye well, you can actually outplay a large majority of your bad matchups on paper. She's one of the most pilot-dependent heroes in the game, in the sense that a good Skye can pretty much outplay any other hero in the game. Maybe apart from Taka, that can be difficult for a Skye. But sometimes if you don't play her as well, your good matchups can be bad too.
Good matchups can be bad. There comes the death from above. Gabe Vizzle does get locked up in it, but look at the damage. Look at the blocks. That was huge. Starting all over. He's going to have to use those boots to get away. Active camo stun has been set up, but Gabe Vizzle is on the sidelines. Archaic cutting back with the 4 barrage. Not so forward. Playboy Afro does end up going down eventually, though. Old school. Oh, Joseph wants to go for the dive. He makes it work as well. That heal from the Grace. All too much. There's another one to boot as well. Cloud9, they take out Archaic. They're looking to take this turret as well.
We're going to take the turret, and as Starting All Over defends, we draw attention to his build path, which is something that I find very interesting, simply because... Wait a second.
On a second here. Starting All Over, stepping a little bit too far forward, you must say. Joseph, yep, he's out of there, so you're free to carry on your point.
He's gone for a Glimmer Shot build, which against a Cruel, where you naturally feel like he's going to want to be kiting, is interesting. I would have maybe expected a Breaking Point focused Kestrel build here, or even the Tornado trigger second, like we have seen against some Cruels in the past. But the ability to kite is that much more important, because you want to give any bit of space that you can get between you and Cruel while dealing damage is really important. He's gone for a Glimmer Shot focused build, which is going to keep him stationary for the most part. I guess the way that he's playing this is he's saying, well, they either go for me, and at which point Archaic carries, or they either go for Archaic, at which point I carry. Because they can't focus 2 targets at once, or so he thinks. You know, that's maybe the way that he's looking to play this out. One thing that I've been really impressed with C9 before this potential fight breaks out, their neutral objective control has been outstanding. You wouldn't expect anything less with the Cruel, as they take another gold mine. But I really love teams that play Cruel to his strengths, and one of Cruel's strengths is his neutral objective control.
Yeah, turret after turret, gold miner after gold miner. They do extend that gold lead. 6,000 in the lead at 14 minutes is only a little bit ludicrous, I must say. Now, Joseph, he's got that infusion in the inventory. He's got the metal jacket. He's got the poison shiv and tension bow. He's a hard-hitting Cruel right now. Hollywood Hammers, they can't really seem to do anything. I'm not going to lie. I find it hard to look at their composition and go, okay, so this is their win condition at this current moment in time. We're 15 minutes in, and Cloud9 have not only found fight after fight that they're winning, but there's just no relevancy to Archaic right now either.
No, and again, you as a Skye, you naturally want to build space and time so that you can build space and time. That sounds funny. Wait, we've got a fight breaking out.
Hang on, yeah, we'll go back to that point in a second. They're going to lock down Playboy Afro. That Holy Nova is going to get blocked. Bounty's going to heal them all up, though. Playboy Afro is sending out the Fearsome Shade. Sends Cloud9 running, but they still managed to pick up that kill regardless. And look, as soon as they pick up a kill, you said they got beautiful objective control, neutral objective control. Turn straight on the Kraken. They're just doing it anyway.
And it's going to be a pretty solid secure here, unless Starting All Over can land a very impactful Glimmer Shot. Looks like he's coming round, has got the potential, they've got the Scout Trap advantage, doesn't find the opportunity. Really late one-shot, one-kill. It reveals their position.
Yes, it does indeed. Starting All Over is just in a sticky situation. He does actually get the stun up on Gabe Vizzle there. That was actually really big, but Joseph dives straight onto Archaic. Here comes the reposition. 4 barrage almost takes him out. Very, very close to going down. Cloud9, they still have that Kraken, remember. Now, Playboy Afro, bad mojo, not today. From Hell's Heart to stop him in his tracks, but they still have to deal with that Kraken.
Yeah, but that is a good win for Hammers, because it does mean that Kraken will be essentially free for them to take down, and with this build from Starting All Over, it does give him the ability to burst things like Kraken very quickly, as you can see. They might get one turret out of this, they could be lucky to do so, but I mean, the small mishap there from C9 means they kind of waste this opportunity. I think Starting's going to get this before the turret even goes down. It will be very close, but could be the case.
Well, it might just be one more hit, actually, it'll do it. No, it actually breaks the base there, so Hammers losing a little bit more than they anticipated.
I don't think Starting had the energy to continuously class Glimmer Shots, which is the main form of his damage right now.
It's quite frustrating for him, you can imagine, because he is sitting on that double monocle and that Sora Blade. He's got a bit of Pierce as well. He wants to just get in the front line. Well, not in the front line. He wants to get in the back line and just sit there, just pounding Cloud9, but they're just not giving him room to breathe.
C9, again, can still look to put pressure on here. It's so easy for them to apply that pressure. Joseph getting targeted.
Ordained on Joseph. Holy Nova is going to get blocked there by the Crucible. Death and Buff does lay down from Archaic. Here comes Joseph once again, though. He does get feared up, but it's not going to matter. Gabe Vissel's got the heal. He's got everything he needs. Old School just running people down as well. Playboy after the target. He falls. There's another divine intervention to save Old School's life. Joseph in that brush, getting that passive movement speed. Starting all over, nowhere to run. Holy Nova's going to get blocked, but Archaic falls beside him, and that'll be him going down as well. Old School tried to find him off, tried to finish him off there for the ace, but it did end up going over to Gabe Vizzle, his first kill of the game. Cloud9, they got the minion wave as well. They got the ace, and I think this is going to be game number 1.
They should be able to finish here, Jaws. They will be able to split focus on the turrets, as they are doing so now. And it'll be another decisive Cloud9 victory. Incredibly well played off the back of Old School's Adagio. Again, proving that you can still pilot a CP Adagio in lane and make it work. Joseph's combination on the Cruel, continuous pressure, the neutral objective control, capitalizing on advantages. It was just so good from C9. Archaic unable to make this Sky work here. Hammers down in the final. C9 one win away from securing the VG8 week.
Yes, that they are. So clean. Such a clean game from Cloud9. We'll see if they can keep it up in game number 2.